Do you believe firsthand experience that the humanitarian aid is being manipulated or misused inside Gaza?
There is enough food in Gaza to feed everyone now.
You have been lied to about what is happening with the aid in Gaza. This man risked his life to show you the truth, and what he captured with his own eyes will shock you. He's the only neutral observer that has been inside the GHF aid distribution center in Gaza during the war, and he's exposed some of the biggest lies about the war. Why risk your life going into Gaza?
Well, it's my job. I'm a Middle East researcher. I'm a former British soldier. I served for 16 years. So when I had the opportunity to go to Israel and then go into Gaza and see the war firsthand, that was an opportunity that was too good to miss.
This is a very sensitive, terrible war that has been going on for so long. So what made you say, okay, I need to go in, I need to see?
Well, one of my specialities is the psychology of disinformation. So I did a psychology master's degree that focused on this. And so I've seen how much untruth, how much, fog of war has surrounded this conflict. And so much of it has been used to smash Israel. In so many cases, completely unfairly.
What did you see? What does the world not know from what is being portrayed on the media?
Yeah, so far I think it's just me and Steve Witkoff that have been in there, which makes me incredibly privileged. If I came out and said this was the most perfect thing ever, people would know I was lying, and it would give me no credibility at all. So what I did see was hungry people. I didn't see kind of African famine level of starvation. There wasn't ribs everywhere. People were running around smiling. The people were hungry. They descended on these boxes of humanitarian aid, probably thousands of them. It was an incredible scene, like something out of a movie. They have to walk a long way through a battle zone to get there, and the GHF workers, they've not had a single shooting on a GHF camp, contrary to what you're told in the media, where to listen to what people are saying, you'd think they were hoarding people in there and just machine gunning them. It's nonsense. It's nothing like that whatsoever. And ultimately what I saw was many Gazans getting fed, many Gazans leaving there with sacks of food on their shoulders, and I saw many women smiling, thumbs up, saying shukran, thank you in Arabic. It was great to see these people getting the food that they so desperately need, that Hamas has been denying them for so long.
Do you believe firsthand experience that the humanitarian aid is being manipulated or misused inside Gaza?
100% beyond question. Even the UN's own figures. Let's just look at the basic numbers here. According to everything the UN have put out, there is enough food in Gaza to feed everyone now. Literally everyone now. 3,000 plus calories per day on average have been going into Gaza during the war. That's enough food to keep people healthy and happy, and yet people are going hungry. So there's not this blockade that Israel is accused of. There's not this deliberate starvation that Israel is accused of. There is a huge problem with distribution within Gaza itself, and that's not Israel's responsibility. That is the UN's responsibility. Just this week the UN admitted that 85% of their aid deliveries are getting hijacked by militias, be it Hamas or be it one of the other groups. And I think the world really, rather than blaming Israel, needs to take a very long, hard look at the United Nations and ask, why on earth are you now blaming Israel for the hunger that has been caused by your failings on the ground? And it is shameful that the United Nations has avoided this condemnation.
You were one of the first to challenge the Gaza Health Ministry's death statistics, and Hamas later deleted over 3,000 names. How did you know something wasn't right?
We just looked at trends. We just looked to see if we could find common mistakes being repeated over and over again. Just with the open source intelligence that's available to us, there are bound to be more. I went to Afghanistan 3 times. I've called for those airstrikes myself. And I know that you can't get an immediate battle damage assessment. It's nonsense. And then, of course, we had the Al-Akhli hospital bombing, where straight away Hamas were claiming that 500 people had been killed by Israel striking a hospital. And then just the next day, it came out it was about 50 to 100 killed. And it was a Palestinian Islamic Jihad rocket that had landed in the car park. And then 3 months later, Hamas deleted over 3,000 names and proved us right. But the bigger point here is the world's media should not have been relying on these numbers because they were inaccurate.
So why do you think the media keeps relying on these numbers?
It's very strange. It doesn't happen in any other war. And if you go to Wikipedia, just as a wet finger in the air, as we call it, try and find out how many people died in the Afghan war, civilians. And the number it gives you is between 100 and 200,000. There is no other war in history where the media has obsessed over the numbers in the way that the Gaza war has. It's because I think the UN is so complicit with everything Hamas is doing on the ground. UNRWA is so compromised that they make it their main effort to get those numbers out there. That's why the UN OCHA push these out on a daily basis, is because they are trying to drive the narrative to condemn Israel. And there is something, again, deeply rotten within how the UN is operating in Gaza.
And of course, everything is always blamed on Israel. No matter what happens, everything is always Israel's fault, according to everyone else. But you have tracked over 160 examples of Hamas using human shields. What is the most shocking case that you found?
I think it's that Hamas's leadership have openly admitted that they've got a strategy not just of human shields, but of human sacrifice. That's what really shocked me. It was how nakedly and openly they admitted that they wanted Palestinians to die so that they could use their deaths to beat Israel with like a stick.
So how do they keep getting away with it when we have all of the proof that we need? How do they keep getting away with it?
I think it's because there's no accountability. Like, who has lost their job over printing, false lies about Israel? Look at Jeremy Bowen. We did studies where we looked at how many people were using the Israel Defense Forces numbers of how many Hamas they thought they'd killed. And it was 3%. 98% of the world's media was using Hamas's figures. So accountability is the issue. People can just say this stuff and get away with it. It's a real shame.
What would you say, after being in Gaza 3 times, what do you think is the main thing that Hamas specifically wouldn't want you to say out loud to the world?
The one thing Hamas really wouldn't want you to say is the extent to which they have manipulated the world's media, the extent to which they have manipulated images of suffering that they themselves have caused, the fact that there are warehouses full of food and yet their own people are starving, the fact that they are getting hammered on the battlefield. They've deleted themselves from the narrative of this war for 22 months. To believe the media, it's just Israel lobbing bombs in indiscriminately. And yet the IDF have sustained 3,000 casualties, nearly 500 dead. This is a proper high-intensity conflict war, and that's what Hamas don't want you to know.
Even though you're completely an unbiased researcher, people watching this might say, oh, this guy is a Zionist, and they say it in such a negative way, or this guy is clearly being paid by Israel. That's what they say for anyone that supports Israel these days. What would you say to that?
Look, I'm not Jewish, I'm not Israeli, and I've actively turned down money from the Israeli government. They offered to fly me to a conference in Jerusalem, and I went to the conference, but I paid my own flights. And when it comes to being a Zionist, I support the existence of the state of Israel, and I'm not going to apologize for that.
Thank you. You have seen things in person that most of us never will. What is the one thing that you wish every person, especially our younger generation on social media, truly understood about this war?
I just wish that they would understand that war is hell. And I've seen that in Afghanistan, I've seen the aftermath of it when I served in Bosnia, and now I've seen it on the ground in Gaza. And Gaza isn't an unusual war, it's not a different war, it's not even the bloodiest war of the 21st century. It's very unpleasant. Israel didn't start it, Israel doesn't really want to be fighting it, but Israel really has no choice after 1,200 of its people were slaughtered in a jihadi rampage on 7th of October. And that's the key message. All war is unpleasant, so of course Gaza is unpleasant as well.
This footage is real. These stories are real. But the silence around it, that is the part that should scare all of you. Once you've seen what he saw, once you hear what he went through, it's impossible to unsee. Free Palestine from Hamas.